Good morning once again, and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. We appreciate you listening this morning. Feel free to give us a call anytime, 612-504-8400. Visit us online, havenfinancialgroup.com. A great website, all kinds of tools, calendar of educational events. You're invited. We provide materials. They're very educational on a variety of retirement topics. You know, your stuffier topics, and even ones that are more enlightening that you may not even thought of, like senior fraud prevention. Many classes. We encourage you, come on in, visit with us. There's no commitment or obligation, and you might be surprised what you actually learn. You know, some people from our last segment, some people just worry about money. Some people just worry about everything. In fact, I think of a couple that was in last week. They've been clients of mine for a while, and she had a stressful job at the state of Minnesota, and then she had back problems. And, you know, every time she gets nervous, her and her husband, I would see them on my calendar, which is exactly what I suggested. And she came in this week and she goes, you know, I retired earlier in the year. And I said, I heard that. And how's it going? She goes, well, actually better than I thought. I was really nervous at first, but you guys put our mind at ease to know we're okay. In fact, her husband's retiring the end of June. So, you know, and I had the conversation again this week. I said, well, how has the transition been? And she's like, well, I worried. I go, do you worry about everything? And her husband chimed in, you got it, Larry. She worries about everything.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I think that you have done an excellent job of helping her with her worries. It also sounds like they're listening to you. They've separated their retirement and they're retiring in June.
Yes.
Not in November, where it's cold for those first months. So hopefully both of them will be very happy and the worry level will go down, down, down. We're talking about keeping your retirement consistent during these kind of volatile economic times. And how do you do so? Well, you do so first and foremost with a plan that strategizes for these kinds of economic times. And we talk about mailbox money and the fact that if you consistently have money coming in, you can weather many times these ups and downs when things get a little more expensive at times. And annuities, that's a good way to have a consistent income if it's right for you, right, Larry?
If it's right for you is a good way to put it. And it's why I teach a couple times a year the truth about annuities in a variety of educational settings, because annuities, you got to be careful. There's lots of financial marketing out there and lots of marketing in all areas of life, but financial marketing, listeners may have seen ads. Well, I heard that annuities are bad. I hate annuities and you should too, because it was on the back of the Star Trib, or this and this about annuities. It's why I teach a class, okay? Because they're not for everybody. Let's just get generic here a little bit. Annuities are an investment vehicle. They can be used for any types of money, Roth, IRA, after tax, etc. It's an investment vehicle. Let's understand that all annuities are through an insurance company. That's the only ones that offer them. They're the only ones that can provide guarantees. They're the ones that we may not like, but they have the money. So annuities have terms. They have key words involved that can get very confusing. They can be part of an efficient portfolio. They can be, don't have to be. Problem is, there's 4 types of annuities. When I have a class, I know statistically probably 70% in the room have some sort of annuity. And of those, most of them don't know which one of the 4 they have. Is it an immediate annuity? Is it a variable annuity? Is it a fixed annuity, or is it a fixed indexed annuity? And the problem is most of them don't know. That can be problematic because an annuity, it can be complicated. It can be, doesn't have to be. It's a contract, one would say, written in a foreign language that maybe you don't speak. That could be a problem. So we help people understand what they have. Call it an annuity exam. If you're listening and have one, come on in, annuity exam. I'll help you understand which one of the 4 you have, because there's distinct differences. The immediate, you give up control for a paycheck. Perhaps you get hit by a bus and the insurance company keeps the money. Variable annuity is exactly what it says. Variable, in the market, up and down, highest cost, highest fees of any of the annuities potentially. Yes. Fixed annuity is just like a CD, but through an insurance company. Fixed indexed, it also is fixed, but it has more upside. Two of them are very different than the others. I won't go any deeper on that. The other two are very different. Some of them carry high costs and fees. Others don't have to have any fees whatsoever. Again, starts with the education. And then we go into, do I use an annuity for income to give me that guaranteed income? It can be used effectively for those of us that won't have pensions, like my wife and I, and many other listeners. Again, years ago when I started, everybody in the room had a pension. Today, 10% and declining quickly. Well, let's talk about the retirement stool is usually the pension, Social Security, and retirement nest egg. Well, a lot of us talking and listening today don't have one leg to the stool. So how do we create that leg? Can be used by annuities, other ways as well, but annuities for income. However, what's the cost? Do you need it for income? If not, don't use one for income. And unfortunately, I see that way too often. We at Haven Financial Group, if we think it's good for one's portfolio, okay, we'll find out by having detailed conversations. If income is a need, we have the right solutions for those types of annuities. Highest payouts, highest rated companies, lowest costs, if any. However, we actually do about 80% of our annuity business is with annuities designed for accumulation purposes only. Okay? Because if you have adequate Social Security and pension and don't need additional guaranteed income, well, then don't get something that's not going to really give you any returns, hardly. Get something that is going to be a bond replacement. It's going to be part of the fixed income side of the portfolio. So again, they can be complicated. They don't have to be. But all I wanted to say is for the listeners out there, do you have an annuity? Okay, which one of the four do you have? If you can't answer that, my encouragement would be somebody needs to explain it to you. We would love to, because you deserve to know which one. You might be stuck, actually, because all annuities have terms, and the terms might be such that you can't get out because it's going to cost you too much. But what often I see is some people 3 years into whatever they got, they go, what in the world is this thing? I haven't made any money. It seems like all I'm doing is paying fees. I don't understand it, which tells me maybe you shouldn't have got it.
Sure, absolutely. Well, and that really was where I was going to go next, Larry. If you do have an annuity and maybe you don't know full details, coming in to sit down with the folks at Haven Financial Group would be a great idea. An annuity checkup. And by the way, bring your life insurance policy while you're doing that, because they can check that as well to make sure that the status of your life insurance policy is what you think it is. All of that has changed so much. But the unfortunate part about it, Larry, as you just mentioned, is that you may be stuck for a certain amount of time and you may not be able to do anything about it, which would be another reason why not to get into an annuity until you've sat down with someone who can walk you through.
Yeah, good point. Because they're not all created equal. Two are very different than the others. They can be highly effective for principal protection with some great upside. In fact, I will speak out to the fact that anybody that did a fixed index or type of that annuity from 2018 to 2022, if you remember, in the United States, we had historically low interest rate environment, 0 to negative interest rates. And anybody that got into, whether it was the right thing or the wrong thing to do in those years into an annuity, you may have seen very little growth because of the interest rate environment that was part of that time. What we've seen in the last couple of years, we've helped lots of folks. We call it refinancing or replacing that old annuity underneath those very, very bad interest rates, very poor returns, into something that is reflective of today's interest rate environment, which is still very favorable. So we've really been able to replace those funds into a more favorable position. But again, not for everybody. There's many ways to structure these. Again, many of them are high cost. Many of them have terrible investment options. Glenn Ramey will be on the next segment. He'll probably just touch. They can be used for long-term care. I'll let him touch on that in the next segment. Very effectively too, and I'll let him talk about it. But remember, who are you working with? What are their intentions? I'm sure everybody's got good intentions. Unfortunately, not always. There are some folks out there that only peddle annuities. Maybe they're right for you, maybe they're not. But ask yourself this: if that's the only tool they have in their toolbox, what's the only thing that they're going to try to sell you? The only thing
Right.
that's in their toolbox.
Yeah.
Well, whether it's annuities, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, whatever it is, let's look at all the options and make a good educated decision. Hey, accumulation is more important. Principal protection is more important. Or you're right. Your income is a little light on a monthly basis. You don't have a pension. Maybe we take X amount, guaranteed lifetime income. Hey, that can be used effectively, but the solution needs to take care of the problem.
Absolutely.
That's what we're trying to do.
Not create a problem for you.
And oftentimes, just this past week, this gentleman him and his wife had plenty of retirement monies. They worked hard, they save. What do I see? A variable annuity, 3 to 5% fees, designed for income, and they have a tax problem already between the income streams they have. Wrong solution, wrong problem, wrong diagnosis. That'd be going to the doctor for a heart problem and they put a cast on your arm. Probably not
Right.
the right solution.
Right. 612-504-8400 is how you reach the folks at Haven Financial Group. Do you have questions about annuities? Have you been thinking about it, but you're not really clear? Give them a call. Tell them you heard us here on the radio. 612-504-8400. Coming up next, LTCs and life insurance. They can play a big role in a fixed income retirement. We'll have a chat with Glenn Ramey in just a moment, right here on the Haven Financial Group radio show.